With the WINN FM News, I am Kevin Brown.
And I am Yulana Weeks.
Our top stories.
St. Kitts and Nevis bolsters climate resilience with dual project launch.
Nevis students complete the test of Chinese as a foreign language. Bid farewell to facilitator Miss Chen.
George Street rehabilitation now completed. Odeon right to serve 6 months for traffic offenses. St. Lucia politician calls for stronger media credibility and mentorship. Should Trinidad and Tobago explore new alliances with non-Western countries? Internationally, rebranding U.S. Defense Department. Trump signs order changing title to Department of War.
Now, the details.
St. Kitts and Nevis has taken a significant stride towards a sustainable and resilient future with the launch of 2 pivotal projects. These initiatives are designed to fortify the nation's capacity to address the escalating challenges of climate change and reinforce its commitment to sustainable development. The government's proactive approach underscores its dedication to safeguarding the islands for generations to come. The first initiative, the U.S. $3 million National Adaptation Planning NAP project, is generously funded by the Green Climate Fund, GCF. The project is strategically crafted to enhance the country's adaptive capabilities by enhancing a comprehensive framework for integrating climate adaptation strategies across various governmental sectors and levels. Minister of Sustainable Development, Climate Action and Environment, the Honorable Dr. Joel Clark, emphasized its profound importance. Quote, as our government steers St. Kitts and Nevis towards sustainability and resilience becoming our norms, the NAP will undeniably be a critical propeller and guiding force. Through it, we can broaden our perception of climate resilience and gird ourselves to properly and effectively navigate the ever-evolving climate landscape. End clip. Dr. Clark further articulated the necessity for a strategic approach. Quote, if we are to address the challenges of the climate crisis head-on, strategy and targeted action must underpin our efforts. That is why it is such a distinct pleasure to endorse the launch of these critical initiatives. Thank you to all participating stakeholders for lending your time, energy, and insights to help build our national climate resilience. She thanked the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center for their assistance and expertise. Complementing the NAP project, the Disaster Resilient Utility Infrastructure St. Kitts and Nevis project, funded by the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, aims to enhance the nation's critical utility infrastructure resilience. The project will achieve its goal through integrated planning, comprehensive vulnerability assessments, and the implementation of coordinated emergency response mechanisms. The Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas has strongly supported the transformative effort, highlighting the government's unwavering commitment to national preparedness. The Federation is also gearing up to join the rest of the world with the upcoming 30th United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP30, which will be held in Brazil from November 10th to 21st, 2025. As St. Kitts and Nevis prepares to expand its Sustainable Island State Agenda mission at COP30, the nation recently expressed its gratitude for the invaluable support of the Republic of China Taiwan. The continued contribution from the Republic of China Taiwan significantly strengthens the multilateral presence of the Sustainable Island State Agenda, ensuring diverse and inclusive representation at global climate negotiations. Expected focus areas for COP30, nationally determined contributions, NCDs, climate finance and energy transition, adaptation and resilience, as well as nature and biodiversity. The national climate plans, or nationally determined contributions, are expected to be the most critical task facing governments ahead of COP30, with the level of ambition for the NDCs undoubtedly one of the key measures against which the success of the conference will be judged.
The Ministry of Education Nevis, in collaboration with the Republic of China Taiwan through the Taiwan ICDF Mandarin program, hosted a special awards ceremony on Friday, September 5, 2025, to recognize the students who excelled in the 4th annual Test of Chinese as a Foreign Language Computerized Adaptive Test. The event, held at the Malcolm Gishad Recreational Park, celebrated the achievements of learners who have demonstrated exceptional proficiency in Mandarin. One of the ceremony's highlights came when 2 of the graduates, Delijah Clark and Kalia Isaac, delivered a dynamic presentation in Mandarin. Their presentation, which explored their journey of learning the language and the possibilities of one day studying and living in Taiwan, received enthusiastic applause from the audience and showcased the remarkable progress students have made in mastering the language. The duo expressed gratitude to the Ministry of Education Nevis and the Republic of China Taiwan for the opportunity to learn a new language and pledged to keep it up.
This examination has allowed us to recognize our own progress. 今天的这张证书不只是努力的证明，更增加了我们规划未来的信心。
Today's certificate is not only proof of our hard work, but a source of confidence that strengthens our ability to plan for the future. 或是有一天我们能到台湾学习、生活、探索更多可能性。
Perhaps one day we will have the opportunity to study and live in Taiwan, exploring even more possibilities. 谢谢台湾，也谢谢你为此教育部。Thank you Taiwan. Thank you Ministry of Education. 我们会继续加油。
We will keep it up.
Premier of Nevis Mark Brantley recalled 4 years ago when the Mandarin language was introduced to the people of Nevis as an academic opportunity and pleaded for more students to embrace the challenge of learning Mandarin. He encouraged the young people to view foreign language acquisition, particularly Mandarin, as a vital skill for the future, especially as the Federation continues to strengthen ties with the Republic of China Taiwan through its tertiary academic scholarship.
We saw recently some 28 students from the Federation heading to Taiwan on full scholarships to study various fields of study. I would want to make the appeal publicly that our students from Nevis pay attention and seek to apply for these opportunities. And I looked at the 28 students. I believe there were only 1 or 2 who are from Nevis, and the others were from our sister island of St. Kitts. One of the fundamental reasons why we introduced Mandarin was to ensure that by the time our students got to the point where they were going off to university, if they considered to study in Taiwan, as we heard from Kalia and Elijah, they said perhaps one day they'll be studying in Taiwan. One of the things we were trying to achieve is to ensure that they were so proficient in the language that they did not need to spend an additional year in Taiwan. Some of you may not know, but when you go to study in Taiwan, the first year is spent learning the language.
Brantley advised the students that if they have plans to study in Taiwan, knowing Mandarin will allow them to navigate their new environment with confidence, engage meaningfully with their peers in Taiwan, and open doors to opportunities they may have never imagined.
You must apply, and at least by applying, give yourself the opportunity of a lifetime, the opportunity to travel to Taiwan, to live in Taiwan, to study in Taiwan. You come back with a degree and no student debt because your families have not had to borrow to send you there. That too is a demonstration of the power of diplomacy. You come back hopefully being proficient in a new language and having an understanding of a new culture. You come back with new friends in Taiwan and from across the world. And that, I think, ultimately is what we need. The level of people-to-people engagement, building relationships to ensure that we have ultimately a better island, a better federation, and a better world.
Principal Education Officer Londa Brown highlighted the growing importance of Mandarin language education in today's interconnected world. Speaking at the ceremony, she commended the students for their courage and perseverance.
It's a joy to stand here because we're celebrating not just the academic achievement of our students and those who would have taken the test this year, but it's the celebration of their journey, of their growth, of their commitment to learning this new language, and the history and culture that is intertwined in the process. Over the past years, we have had this ceremony, and we continue to see growth in the effort of our students and in the results of the exam. It's not easy to take the test. It's not easy to learn a new language. And so we commend you and applaud your efforts to do both. The fact that you have chosen this exam speaks to your courage and your ability to step outside your comfort zone and to try to master a new language and to learn new cultures. These are qualities that will serve you well, not just in your academic journey, but in life in general.
Mr. Chen Chi, the professional Mandarin teacher assigned by the Republic of China Taiwan to Nevis since October 2020, received great applause and praise, not only for her superb teaching skills, but also for her warm adaptation of the St. Kitts Nevis culture and friendly relationships with the people. Her tenure has come to an end as she returns to Taiwan.
She came to the department and she really became a colleague in every sense of the word. She is a part of us. She is one of us. And those of you who are from Nevis, you know Ms. Chen is a part of the Department of Education. You see her everywhere, setting up, breaking down, participating in every event that we have because she's truly a part of us. And that is a testimony of what embracing new languages and new cultures can do for us. So thank you very much, Ms. Chen.
Jokingly, Premier Brantley said that he believes that in her previous life, Miss Chen was Nevisian, pointing the audience to her braided hairstyle and saying that she was the first Taiwanese he had seen with braided extensions. Brantley fondly spoke about how Chen had intertwined with the local community, so much so that she was spotted at church, at the supermarket, and even at funerals, a demonstration of the true Nevisian spirit. The Premier expressed that, from all accounts, Miss Chen would be irreplaceable.
I have seen her in every aspect of Nevis, and she has taught us, but I think she has also learned from us. And Ms. Chen, I would want you to go back to Taiwan with fond memories of Nevis, and I'm hopeful that this will not be the last time that we see you on the island of Nevis. So on behalf of my government, I want to tell you how grateful we are to you, how grateful we are for the time that you've spent with us, and certainly the patience that you've exhibited with our students and the skills that you've passed on to them. Please know that you go back to Taiwan with our gratitude and our profound respect. We certainly would want this program to continue. And so we look forward to the Ministry of Education to engage with your government to find someone else to teach Mandarin here. I will not say a replacement because I'm told that it is impossible to replace Ms. Chen. So we are hopeful that we can find someone else who will come and who will continue this journey on which we have set our feet.
The Premier presented the Mandarin teacher with a Nevis Naturally bag, and in it was a picture of the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park, of which Taiwan was instrumental in the funding and building process.
The Public Works Department has completed the construction phase of roadworks on George Street in Newtown. The resurfacing of the roadway and rehabilitation of the drainage system project commenced in May 2025 to enhance driving conditions and mitigate flooding. The road is now fully open with some minor finishing touches remaining. Raymond Brown, supervisor at Public Works Road Division, expressed gratitude to the community on George Street as Public Works rehabilitated the road.
I know it was a tedious process. I know some people felt it was long, but we are finally here, completing the road now to the end where we have already laid one half of the section of asphalt, and we are about to lay the other half to complete the road. We want to thank the neighbors and the residents of George Street for their patience, for their understanding, for their love, for the everything that they did for us, because some of the time they gave us water when we needed. So we just want to say thanks to everyone that contributed in the efforts of us getting this road done.
Public Works Minister, the Honourable Conress Maynard, also expressed gratitude to the residents and businesses in the area for their patience and understanding during the road rehabilitation project. O'Dane Right of Lodge Project. St. Kitts has been sentenced to 2 months imprisonment for the offence of driving without insurance and 6 months imprisonment for obstruction. The sentences are to run concurrently. He was also cautioned for driving without a valid license and failing to comply with traffic directions. Wright was sentenced on September 4th, 2025 at the Bastille Magistrates Court by His Honour Reynold Benjamin.
In regional news,
St. Lucia politician calls for stronger media credibility and mentorship. DBS St. Lucia reports.
United Workers' Party Barbano candidate and former Principal Information Officer at the Government Information Service, GIS, Titus Prevel, raised concerns over the state of journalism and news reporting in St. Lucia today. Speaking during the latest edition of the DBS Special Report, he highlighted the importance of journalism to a democracy and its role in holding the powers that be accountable. In its current state, Preble says that media in St. Lucia is suffering.
I'm not sure where a story starts and where an opinion begins. I am aware that we have news, which is reporting on the facts, and we have opinion pieces where people sit and they give their opinion. But I'm listening to news programs. I have listened to a few news stories, and I feel so sorry for the journalists reporting those things, because I'm saying to myself, there must be an editor in that studio or in that station, and the editor owes it to that young journalist to ensure that that person is reporting as a journalist.
Preble urged news reporters, journalists, and editors to reflect on the importance of their work, noting how a bad portfolio can damage a reporter's credibility and ability to find work in other jurisdictions. Acknowledging the lack of training for young reporters today, Preble said that he and other media veterans had mentors who taught them essential skills like writing, asking questions, conducting research, and speaking properly. He highlighted the huge gap in training for new journalists.
So I think the young journalists here have a duty to themselves to find out what it is a story is and stick to it, because it seems in the editor's room there is no guidance being provided.
Preble says that those involved in media owe it to St. Lucians to present the facts and report on issues without fear. For the DBS News World, Miriam Montoot reporting.
Should Trinidad and Tobago explore new alliances with non-Western countries? CNC3 explores that story.
It was a display like no other as China unveiled its modern military might during its 80th anniversary parade to commemorate the end of World War II. Flanked by leaders of Russia and North Korea, China signaling its diplomatic strength could rival that of the US-led world order.
But what does all of this have to do with Trinidad and Tobago, you may ask? Well, in a world where global power is shifting and new alliances are forming, it raises a real question. Is sticking with the United States Trinidad and Tobago's best move? Or should the government of the day be exploring new alliances, new partnerships that could shape our country's future in a very different way?
According to historian Dr. Jerome Tiloxing, a war is underway.
The world is on the brink of a world war. What I foresee is that if a conflict does occur, millions will die, and it could mean long-term effects on us.
However, he thinks choosing sides may cost Trinidad and Tobago too much.
We don't have that clout, that global clout, to say who we are supporting or not. And the United States has a good relation with us in terms of not just for countering the drug trafficking, but for trade. And we cannot jeopardize that.
He says preparation is needed.
So I think we also have to look ahead. We have a budget coming up in a few weeks, and we have to be also looking at the price of oil, because if a war erupts, the Middle East will also take a stance. You would know, K-Marie, Iran was invited to that event today, so that Iran and other Middle Eastern countries will be taking a stance.
And while they both agree the country should maintain its neutrality, Dr. Amory Brown wants the government to explore new partnerships.
What is required of us is to intensify our relations in all directions at this time, including with the Latin American region, including with China, including with countries to the Far East, Singapore, Malaysia, other partners, including with our Europeans. So it cannot be one being pursued at the expense of others. And this is where a balanced foreign policy and wise diplomatic engagement comes into play. I'm not sure that is what is being deployed from Port of Spain at this time.
CNC3 News made several attempts to reach Foreign Affairs Minister Sean Sobers for comment on the issue. However, those efforts have gone unanswered.
With talks of war growing louder, Trinidad and Tobago must now ask itself, where do we stand? And which side of history will we choose? The answer Only time will tell. K. Marie Fletcher, CNC3 News, Beijing.
We now bring you these international reports.
President Donald Trump has been teasing a name change for the Defense Department for weeks.
So we won the First World War, we won the Second World War, we won everything before that and in between, and then we decided to go woke and we changed the name to Department of Defense. So we're going Department of War.
And so has his current Defense Secretary.
This name change is not just about renaming, it's about restoring. Words matter. It's restoring, as you've guided us to, Mr. President, restoring the warrior ethos.
The Department of War was created after the US won its independence. The name changed briefly after World War II to the National Defense Establishment. It became the Department of Defense in 1949 and was in control when the country went to war in Korea, in Vietnam, Afghanistan and Iraq. Trump believes renaming it will sharpen the focus of its mission. Not everyone agrees.
I don't think it doesn't change the mission. I don't think they'll do anything differently as a result of this. I think, there's this idea that this is a symptom or an outcome of a shift that does change missions, which would be to focus on war fighting. I don't see a lot of evidence that that's really happening under Hegseth, under Trump so far. The Department of Defense, of course, the United States has been at war in small ways in places like Somalia and Syria and Iraq for a long time.
Donald Trump has also been talking up his desire to win a Nobel Peace Prize. But he's the president who put troops on the street of his capital and now presides over a Department of War. The new Department of War tag is effectively secondary branding. It will still be the Department of Defense, but the war tag can be used in internal communications for ceremonial purposes. Pete Hegseth can even call himself the Secretary of War on occasion. But a full global rebrand could cost tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, and even then, only with the approval of Congress. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera, at the White House.
I love my home. I love Shreveport. But Shreveport has broken my heart.
Shannon Ballantyne's 17-year-old son Cameron was shot and killed last month near their home in a high-crime neighborhood in Shreveport, Louisiana. Police have not yet made any arrests.
This is Bond Street.
Shreveport Police Chief Wayne E. Smith has pins marking each one of the 26 murders that have shaken the city so far this year. He is weighing a proposal floated by President Donald Trump to send National Guard troops into Louisiana to fight crime, an idea backed by the state's Republican governor. Smith says low pay and benefits make recruitment tough, and if the Louisiana National Guard is deployed in his city or elsewhere in the state, his ranks will be thinned out even more.
Significant number, and I'm not sure exactly what that is, of police officers here are reservists. So each time they get called up or deployed to go somewhere else, you can see what that does. That leaves me one more person short.
Shreveport's Republican Mayor Tom Arsenault called the idea intriguing in an interview in his office, but did not express explicit support for it.
I believe that our Shreveport Police Department is doing a terrific job with the resources that are available to it. Still, we are historically low on police officers. So the idea of having additional state or federal resources available to the city of Shreveport is intriguing, and we certainly are willing to discuss how, when, and what kind of resources would be deployed to assist in the fighting of crime.
City leaders in Shreveport say they have had success as data shows the murder rate has been falling. They credit that in part to an increased use of technology, including street cameras and drones. Regardless of whether the National Guard comes or not, it won't bring back Ballantyne's son.
They've got me grieving, they've got me upset, and I'm gonna be upset, and I'm not gonna rest. I won't ever rest. Even when they find the people responsible for my child's murder, I'm still not gonna rest because he's not there.
Well, for more on this, Luciano Zakara joins us. He's a Middle East political analyst. Thanks for being with us here. OK, if we can start with Netanyahu's openly saying that he wants to open the Rafah border crossing and allow everyone who wants to move into Egypt. What do you make of those plans? That's been the end goal the whole way through this.
On one hand, this has been the plan since a long time. The problem is they couldn't find the excuse to do it, and now they have the pretext to do it, to vacate the whole Gaza Strip, pushing people outside and to relocate voluntarily people outside. But what it sounds ridiculous is that Netanyahu is claiming human rights, the human rights of choose freely where to live, where is your domicile, in order to claim that the people has a right to leave the Gaza Strip to move to another country. But they have been trying to live in their own land since a long time, and they were not allowed to do it because he is not allowing this to do. So it sounds paradoxical that we hear this kind of discourse or this kind of justification through human rights to push people out of their own land and forcibly and pushing them in the way they have been doing this for along 2 years, moving people from the north to the south, south to north, claiming different pretexts, trying to eliminate members of Hamas. Now what they want to do is to eliminate people, to get rid of the people, all the Palestinians they can from the Gaza Strip, with this idea that they can do it voluntarily. No, they are not doing it voluntarily. They are pushing them to concentration camps in the south, so they have no other option to push for moving to another place, because otherwise they would be killed, basically, because every time they go to search for food or whatever, they are also killed. So if you are given the opportunity to escape and run for your life, you would do it.
Of course, if the other option is death, then you're going to choose
This is not voluntarily.
life.
This is not voluntary, this is forced.
So where does this leave Egypt? They've obviously condemned this idea, this plan all along. They've called it a red line. But could they potentially be forced to actually open their side of the Rafah crossing?
Well, now Egypt is in a much worse situation than ever before, because if you remember last year, there were these same discussions about opening the border or not. But at that time, Israel was keeping the control of Rafah crossing without allowing people to leave. Now what they want is them to leave. So they will put Egypt in a very delicate situation in which, for humanitarian reasons, they should open the gate, because otherwise people will be eliminated physically in the border. But politically speaking, it's something that Egypt doesn't want to do, first of all, because of, accepting displacement of people not to return to Gaza is given the victory from the narrative point of view to Israel. And second, because absorbing immigrants from the Gaza Strip is something that, politically speaking, is not accepted by Egypt. I mean, we have a lot of political considerations, humanitarian, ethnographic, or geographic issues that they don't match with what Egypt wants. And it's not part of the bigger plan of the Arab countries that they decided that they will still support for the two-state solution, and this means that Palestinian people should not be displaced from where they should live.
Well, where are things diplomatically right now? We've seen, widespread condemnation around the world to many of Israel's plans, whether it is the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation or its plans to seize Gaza City. Talk of red lines being put in place, and then Israel seemingly just steamrolls right over the top of them. Has diplomacy in all of this just completely failed at this point in time?
Absolutely. At this point, I would say that absolutely failed. And the last attempts we have been seeing that there are European countries or more Western countries trying to recognize or claiming that they will recognize the Palestine state in the General Assembly meeting. The only reaction that they had is Israel punishing more Palestinian people and taking even more drastic measures. The annexation plan that was announced the other day, it was a result of that. Oh, you want to recognize Palestine? There will not be place to recognize because everything will be occupied and annexed by Israel. So even if in the event in the future there will be a Palestinian or proto-Palestinian state or whatever, it will be the 10th or the 5th% of what it used to be in the Oslo agreements. So every step, ICC, ICG, European Union recognition, whatever, make Israeli reaction harsher towards the Palestinian population or towards the future of the Palestinians.
So how have we got to that point then? Is it because no one's really stood up, whether it be Joe Biden when he was president, Donald Trump, other world leaders, really failing in their duty to stop Israel from crossing some of those red lines that we've talked about?
At this point, I would say that most of the government have been hypocritical. I mean, that the fact that they are claiming that they're going to do something was not coupled with actual actions. I mean, every country that say we are considering stopping our trade agreements or whatever, nothing happened. If it's not because of the civil societies in the Western countries that they are pushing their own governments to do something different, they would not move a finger. And now that they are doing that, they are doing it not in 100%. I mean, they are not consistent imposing or trying to pressure European Union or group of countries to take some measures with then the actions that they are taking individually by states, by companies, by a group of parties within the state. We know that, for instance, in some countries in Europe, the governments, the parties that are in the government are supporting the recognition of the state of Palestine. If the situation changes and right-wing parties win, they will change the situation and they will support Israel and not support the recognition of Palestine. So the situation is very fluid, and we cannot say that there is a move towards a fully support of the Palestinian state because it's changing. I mean, by the week, it's changing the public opinion and the opinions of the governments in Europe as well.
About 10,000 families depend on Kenya's Lake Naivasha for fish, which are getting harder to catch. Spreading water hyacinth blocks the fishing boats and starves the water of oxygen. Simon Macharia says it's been getting steadily worse for about 15 or 20 years, contributing to catches of ever fewer and smaller fish.
It can block the engine, which gets damaged from overheating, and we lose nets when it drags them away. It blocks the breeding areas of the fish.
It's native to South America. It was planted in ponds around the world and then spread to more than 50 countries where it's clogging waterways and harming ecosystems. It's difficult just to wade through it. It's no surprise the fishing boats sometimes get trapped. And it also traps pieces of the world's ever-growing quantity of plastic waste. Here are two huge global problems for which one Kenyan entrepreneur says he has a solution. Joseph Ngathiru's developed a process to turn the unwanted plants into a biodegradable alternative to plastic. He's supplied thousands of these wrappers to Kenya's government for its tree planting program.
Regular plastics will not decompose, but they will break down into microplastics, and those are really harmful to the soil and to human body, and there's evidence of that all over. But then ours are organic.
Joseph's company, HirePack, pays fishermen to harvest the plants, dry them and send them to its workshop. He's patented the process and he's discussing investment with some multinational companies. He says it's challenging for African startups to raise capital, and he's up against a plastics industry that doesn't want to stop selling.
Cannot be recycled.
Plastics activist James Wakibia says plastic use in Kenya and the piles of waste keep rising, and that it will only stop if governments enforce the solutions.
We need to embrace alternatives. If we do not have laws, we do not have an international legally binding plastics treaty, we are going to be wallowing in plastic and we are going to be poisoning our world.
Joseph and his team are also producing biodegradable food packaging, and they're developing shipping packets in partnership with an international courier. With enough investment and support, he says his products could replace vast quantities of single-use plastics and clear up dozens of choking rivers and lakes. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera, Lake Naivasha, Kenya.
You were listening to the WINN FM 98.9 newscast. Our top stories were:
St. Kitts and Nevis bolsters climate resilience with dual project launch.
Nevis students complete the test of Chinese as a foreign language. Bid farewell to facilitator Miss Chen.
George Street rehabilitation now completed. Ordained right to serve 6 months for traffic offences. St. Lucia politician calls for stronger media credibility and mentorship. Should Trinidad and Tobago explore new alliances with non-Western countries? Internationally, rebranding U.S. Defense Department, Trump signs order changing title to Department of War.
Thank you for listening.